Hmm. You know the trap almost every project manager falls into, believing that the project is the hardest thing they have to lead. Not the politics, not the personality, not the silence in the meetings you were not invited to, not the blame that lands on your desk for the decision you were never in the room to, let's be honest, actually make. Not even the weight of carrying the project where accountability disappears the moment something goes wrong, just the timeline, just the deliverables, just the plan. And that is the actual trap. See, because most of us, or almost all of us, walk into a profession believing the formula to project management is simple. Work harder, communicate more, stay organized, get one more certification. And by the way, you could just learn one more tool. So we do. We out prepare everybody in the room. But and definitely when reality shows up, you start noticing some projects, they were already dead on arrival before the kickoff meeting ever begun because the team was never aligned and nobody had the courage to say it out loud. So you notice that people who disappear when pressure first starts to appear and then they reappear when credit is given. See, and then you pick up on the one nobody that somebody never warned you about. Everybody wants to be like Mike. No, everybody wants to be the project manager. See, but they don't want the responsibility. They want the visibility, the influence, seat at the table. You don't see it at first. It shows up as hopefulness, opinions like, I just think we should. But eventually you realize something dangerous. The same people campaigning for the authority are quietly handing you the responsibility. Everybody wants the will. Nobody wants to crash. That hits hard, doesn't it? Because, and we're just being honest, the team starts holding you to a standard of accountability they never ever held themselves to as well. Miss their deadline? Well, that's just context. Miss yours, that is failure. They want accountability from you without accountability from themselves. That is when it clicks. You're being handed the liability without authority, the blame without the bad. And you know what's worse? The part that nobody really warned you about? If you're not careful, you do not fight it. You actually start adapting to it. You start managing the optics instead of the project. You start getting quieter in rooms that actually matter. You learn how to survive in an environment instead of leading inside of it. That's how that trap actually works. It does not break you on day one. It kind of just slowly rewrites who you are at work until one day, and I do mean one day, you look up and realize you become good at surviving a version of yourself you were never meant to become. So these traps do not just cost your project, they cost your confidence and identity. They cost yourself as far as how you believe that you could lead, the way you see yourself as an actual leader. However, this is why we're having this conversation today, because I'm not teaching you this from the mountaintop. I am teaching you this on the climb that, if I'm being transparent with you, is something that when you get into this thing that I love, that I hope you fall in love with, called project management, you will have to face. Because from the inside of this exact trap I'm describing, we're going to name some of these traps before they quietly become the career you actually never intended to build. Principle number one, treating every stakeholder and project team member the same. See, one of the biggest mistakes that project managers make is believing every stakeholder requires the exact same communication style, level of urgency, and engagement strategy. But leadership is not a one size fit all. I'll say that again. Leadership is not a one size fit all. Some stakeholders care about financial impact, and some care about visibility, and some actually just care about speed, while others care about risk or control. No. Exceptional project managers learn how to adjust their leadership approach without compromising fairness. Why is this important? If you communicate with everyone the same way, you eventually create disconnect, missed opportunities, or I should say really missed expectation and unnecessary friction. Projects are led through people, not templates. Experiment with these actionable tips. Identify what each stakeholder values most before communicating updates or risks. Next one, adjust your communication style to the audience while keeping the message aligned. Here's my professional advice, family. Fair leadership does not mean identical leadership. It means leading different people effectively while protecting the same outcome. See, once you realize projects are driven more by people than tools, another truth kind of just starts bearing itself, meaning, well, it's actually impossible to ignore. Sometimes the problem is not technical at all. Principle number 2, staying technical when the problem is human. Many project managers hide inside schedules, dashboards, reports, and documentation because technical work feels safer than a human conflict. But most projects do not fail because of software. They fail because of ego, fear, poor communication, avoidance, lack of accountability, and my favorite one of all, unclear ownership. Why is this important? If you only manage the technical side, the emotional and political problems continue to grow underneath the surface until they eventually, well, they explode. Experiment with these actionable tips. Start paying attention to emotional patterns during meetings, not just in project updates. Next one, address accountability issues early before frustration spreads across the team. Here's my professional advice. The longer human problems go ignored, the more technical problems they eventually create. And when environments become political, many project managers make another dangerous mistake. They start shrinking. Principle number 3, shrinking in political environments. In difficult environments, many project managers slowly become quieter to avoid conflict, to avoid criticism, to avoid just being seen altogether. They stop escalating. They stop challenging things. They stop speaking directly, not because they lack intelligence, but because they're trying to survive. Why is this important? The moment fear starts controlling your communication, your leadership presence starts disappearing. Experiment with these actionable tips. Document facts consistently instead of emotional reacting to dysfunction. Next one, separate protecting the outcome from protecting people's comfort. Here's my professional advice, family. Political environments reward silence temporarily until my favorite word comes along, accountability. Accountability arrives, and now all of that shuts down. See, while organizations celebrate activity, another trap that quietly grows underneath the surface, confusing output with outcomes. Principle number 4, measuring output and ignoring outcomes. Many organizations, they celebrate meetings, dashboards, updates, and completed tasks. Meanwhile, the actual business outcome continues to struggle. Activity creates comfort. Outcome creates impact. Why is this important? Busy teams can still fail projects if the work being completed is not solving the right problem. Here's 2 actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment with. Constantly reconnect project activities back to the business impact. Next one, clarify success matrix early instead of assuming alignment exists. Here's my professional advice, family. A completed task does not automatically equal meaningful progress. And when pressure increases, many project managers freeze because they believe they need something they may never fully get. Perfect information. Principle number 5, waiting for perfect information to move. Project managers often delay decisions waiting for certainty, alignment, or complete visibility, but projects rarely operate under perfect conditions. Leadership, and I am talking about that good, exceptional leadership requires movement despite ambiguity. Why is that important? Waiting too long creates delays, confusions, and risk buildup, and a loss of confidence across the teams. Experiment with these actionable tips. Make the best decision possible with the information currently available. Next one, create decision checkpoints instead of waiting for complete certainty up front. Here's my professional advice. Strong leaders learn how to operate through uncertainty without becoming reckless. But hesitation does not only show up in decisions, sometimes it shows up in confidence itself. Principle number 6, waiting to be seen before showing up fully. Many project managers hold back their leadership until someone validates them first. They wait for the promotion, the recognition, the permission, or the confidence to show up at their door. Well, I got news for you, and I just came to deliver this copy to you. It won't happen. See, you need to attack that head on. You need to be the individual that no matter what is going on around you, that inside you, you still have the confidence. No matter how you're feeling externally, or excuse me, internally, that externally it doesn't come out. Because when you're waiting for permission, they'll never give you that permission slip. When you're waiting for recognition, I promise you they're not going to show up on time when you need them to show up. In the promotion, well, if you execute and you outperform, you have a better chance. So meanwhile, in the between times, I need you to do one thing for me and only one thing only. Show up with your full potential. Why is that important? Confidence often is built through action, not before it. Here's some actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment with. Start contributing at a level you aspire towards before the title even arrives. Next one, stop minimizing your voice in rooms where your experience adds value. Here's my professional advice. The people who stand out professionally usually showed up fully long before anyone rewarded them for it. Unfortunately, once visibility increases, another dangerous trap appears: borrowed blame. Principle number 7, accepting borrowed blame. Project managers often become the visible face of problems they did not create. Over time, they absorb blame for leadership indecision, broken process, unrealistic timelines, poor communication, and weak accountability. And eventually, they start internalizing it. Oh, you don't internalize it? I promise you, if you do this thing that I love, that I hope you fall in love with, called project management, you will walk this journey. If you haven't been there yet, I promise you, you're on your way. And I'm not trying to intimidate or make you nervous or scared. I am just trying to set you up for success, to know that this too is coming, because of the fact that one of the things that happen, you are the face of the project. And when things of this nature happen, where timelines are not communicated properly, poor communication, and or there's weak accountability on the team, you will be the face of the actual problem. Why is this important? Carrying responsibility is leadership. Carrying everyone else's dysfunction emotionally, I'll tell you, is very exhausting. Here's 2 actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment with. Document ownership clearly throughout the project life cycle. Next one, separate accountability from personal identity. Here's my professional advice, family. You can care deeply about outcomes without carrying everyone's failure personally. And the emotional pressure leads many project managers into the final trap: trying to save everything alone. Principle number 8, trying to save the project alone. If anyone is guilty for that, please raise your voice or your hand, because I've been in this position more times than I like to count. And it's not because that I didn't know what was happening, because I knew what was happening, but I cared so much about the outcome. I cared so much about the people I was working about. I cared so much of making sure that they were protected. But see, what happens is that the project manager, you become what they call as a rescuer. And when you become a rescuer, then you become overworked and compensated, meaning on the basis of you're doing extra work, which is nothing wrong with it, but you're trying to fill every gap. You're trying to chase every task. You're trying to carry every conversation. And eventually, the team stops carrying responsibility, because the PM, well, they'll catch everything. Why is this important? Rescuing projects repeatedly creates dependency instead of accountability. Experiment with these 2 actionable tips. Push ownership back to the appropriate people consistently. Next one, stop confusing leadership with self-sacrifice. Here's my professional advice, family. A strong project manager builds accountability into the system instead of becoming the system. Here's the truth. The trap most project managers fall into is not workload. It is slowly becoming emotional responsible for system decisions, communication failures, and accountability gaps they were never designed to carry along. And if you, talking to you, are not careful, you can become so focused on surviving the environment that you stop protecting yourself inside of it. You stop speaking up. You stop trusting yourself. You stop leading boldly, and you stop believing in your instincts, not because you lost your ability, but because pressure slowly trained you to shrink. But I do mean but here. I need you to hear me clearly, hear me closely. Just because an environment makes leadership difficult does not mean you're a bad leader. Some of you are carrying projects and environments that would break people who talk leadership, but have never actually lived it. And that's why documentation matters. That's why communication matters. That's why protecting the outcome matters. And more importantly, though, that is why protecting yourself matters too, because the goal is not just to deliver projects. Goal is to deliver projects without losing yourself in the process. So if this episode helped you think differently, hope you feel seen, or even helped you realize you're not crazy for feeling the pressure that comes with this role, make sure you do one thing. Trust yourself more. You don't need to become smaller to survive difficult environments. You just need to become more intentional about how you lead inside of them. If you're new to the episode, I go by the name of ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, hey, that just simply means Ed. Until next time.